Right, here's the deal. I haven't got a convenient spot to park the camera, so I'm a bit sort of end on, but here's what we got. The end of the spindle, there's the collar for the trim and bearing take up. Now I've got these roll pins in here, which I did, I don't know how many years ago, and they suit to take my handle. Well, I'm not going to remove those. What I want is to get clearance for them. So, oh, that's a lovely fit. Now what I'm going to have to do is give that a whack. I'm going to find something to give that a fairly good impact. And the idea being that we can get 4 small marks, because all I need to do is to drill relief holes. Alright, those are about barely ½ an inch projection, so I can just drill holes to accommodate those. They're not going to do any good for what I want, but they've got to be cleared. And once we've got holes for those, they will to a certain extent, sorry I'm waving around, it will to a certain extent register this, and we'll put two holes in to coincide with this area on the collar. I might take the collar off then if I don't need the lathe. 2 holes in there tapped. So finally the whole thing will be done up tight to the back end and do its job. That's the hope. I've put some blue on here, and I'm hoping that I can get enough of a mark so I can register these pins. Push that all the way in. See what happens here. Well, not very good. I've got a couple of marks. I think I can work the rest out from there, and the holes for those will be generous enough for it to fit, so I'll get those done next, I think. Okay, mill time. The roll pins on the back of my spindle, they were put in long ago. They're not actually perfect for position in terms of symmetry, but anyway, I managed to get sufficient marking on the blue to get somewhere to centre pop. I put a centre drill down and I've noted my coordinates, and the pins are 1/8 inch, and I've got a 532, I think. I'm just trying to remember. I'm just drilling slightly oversized, so I'm hoping this will go on easily. Alright, I just got to get back on my DRO and lock it up. Let's see where we are. Got to come in a bit and try and get back on 0, lock the table, see how we go. I'm using my depth stop, by the way. So there's one of them done. A bit close to the edge. Just about okay. If in fact this doesn't go on with the larger holes, I can always enlarge slightly, but I'm hoping this this is giving me what, a 64th all the way around the hole, which I'm hoping will be enough. So I'm going to get on, do the other 4, and then we'll try it for fit. Right, moment of truth. We got the holes in. I've got a Sharpie top mark. Little bit of movement. Now we've got to try it with the centering slug. God, that's a good fit. Now we'll try it in there. There we go. How's that? So next I think we'll do the 90-degree holes, and that's what we'll use the collet for in the collet block. Oh God, I tell you what, guys. For those of you who saw this recently, for tapping using my Jacob's chuck, that's why it's in there, but so I can use this. When did I finish this? A couple of weeks ago? 3 at the most. I couldn't find it. Oh, I looked all over the place. Couldn't find the bastard, as John Mills might say. Anyway, here's the setup. So I've got my I've got my table stop here set on the collet block. We're locked in place. I've got the special piece in with the thread on the end, the nuts done up. Got the workpiece in there. Now I don't suppose, let me just try and zoom in a bit. Right, you can probably see the indicator. I've got my halfway point marked on the this collar, and all I'm doing is going back and forth. Alright, I'm picking just I haven't set that to 0 because it disturbs the height. So within a couple of thou, that puts me on the max diameter for the first hole, and after that we lock up the Y and start some drilling. I'd like to use 10/28, quarter 28s, but I haven't got any, and I haven't got a decent tap either. So I'm going to use 10/20, and bear in mind that I've got this spiral point for threading, which we'll do with the collar here. Although quarter 20 is a bit coarse, thinking about it, getting centered on the spider at the end of the spindle is not sort of super important. So we're almost ready to start some drilling on here, and what I've done is I've set the depth stop, which is now out of frame. Set the depth stop so I can go down into the work, the arbor that I made, which, as I said when I made it, was slightly sacrificial. It's going to have 4 holes in it, partial. Alright, ignore that last bit of nonsense with the indicator. I was way off from the spindle line. I should have set something up in the spindle. That was 0 out of 10 for efficiency. Anyway, to get on the max diameter there, all I need really is to be on center here. I've used this very small extended center drill and mark 1 eyeball with the center of my arbor here, and I think I'm accurate to a couple of thou, and that's all I'm worried about at the moment. Right, I think I'm going to go all the way around 4 holes with tapping, and then go around again with a short clearance, and then we'll go around again for tapping. Right, that's the first hole. I just went ahead and did that. Forgot I got the camera off again. Right, another hole. This is actually, whoops, smearing ankle lube everywhere. This actually drills pretty reasonable. So it doesn't seem to need any lube. It was another, alright, on the stop, and another. This is a split point drill, so it does make life a bit easier. Right, that's tapping size. I'm just going to set up to do a small quarter on each, just a 1/16. I've just set the depth stop to about a 1/16. Alright, down and dirty. So we're set up for tapping. Oops, sorry, I keep kicking the tripod. Right, first hole, tapping. Sorry, my arm's going to get in the way, I think, here. I've got a Sharpie mark on the tap, which you might see, because I can only go down about as far as my drill. And I've set this, somebody mentioned about running the machine, I think Randy said about running the machine hard with this in. All these holes are finished by hand. But now I can go on to reverse and take it out quite easily. So as long as the speed's on reverse, we're good to go. I've got 3 more to do. This is number 4. I'll try and do it without getting my hand in the way so much. You probably see the machine move because it's on this stupid floor of mine. Having the 2 handles is certainly, oops, that's just slipping. That's about as far as I could go down, I think. That's 4 holes tapped, so I think that's all I need to do in that position. Right, well, we got the we're getting closer to completion here. I've actually got 1-inch bolts in here at the moment. The chances are 3/4 will probably be adequate. It depends what goes down the middle. I'll probably eventually try it with a piece of rather whippy 1/2 inch. Anyway, setting it up, I've got a centre pop here and I've got a centre pop there because, as I think I mentioned, these pins are not totally symmetrical. Hang on, let's take it this way. This is still quite a tight fit, unless I've tightened a bolt. There you are. Now that actually is there's not much movement left in there, but we're actually in the spindle and not the collar. I'm only, the collar's threaded on the spindle. So I think what we'll have to do is to we'll drill 2 holes here and here. Probably drill those tapping size, do that in the mill. We'll come back here and put this in position and drill through the tapping hole into the collar. Once I've got marks for drilling, then I can take that off and drill it out for tapping, and then we enlarge the holes here to clearance. That's the plan so far. Now the through holes that I've started here, they have to be set up to suit the bearing thrust collar, because that has a hole in it, a set screw, and then I've got the pins. So we're also slightly out from the midpoint. That's because the thrust collar is not quite as big as that. You've got to subtract probably about 332 for the end of the spindle. That's why we're where we are. And this is a tapping hole. Now we'll get the other one done. I had thought of using 1024s for this, but I don't know, I think 1/4-20 is preferable. But you may or may not be able to see from there that this, I've just counterbored this one, I'm going to do this one next. Very close to the edge. Just about squeak it in. So I've got the depth stop set, so I'll see if I can run this one through. Yeah, it's close to the edge all right, in both cases. That should work, and that gives me, that means I can use inch again. So that's all I can do in the mill here for now. The bottom of these holes is tapping size, so I'm going to offer this up to the spindle thrust collar and drill through by hand to get my marks, then take the thrust collar off and finish drilling that and thread it. These holes have got to be increased to clearance, but I can do that in the drill press, I think. Well, what's a job without a Bozo moment, eh? I'm not sure how the focus will hold on here. There's the present situation. You can probably see for the 10 quarter 20s that were right at the edge, but there's the thrust collar. You might, I won't bring it too close, it'll go out of focus I think. You can see two marks there, and frankly they're too far in. So despite trying to keep this as far out as I could on the collar, it's not good. If I drill and tap this, it's going to disturb the thread, create all sorts of trouble. So back to the drawing board. I'll have to go next to these, make another pair of holes for fixing bolts, and use 1024s. Yeah. I should have gone for the 1024, shouldn't I? Never mind. I'm shifting these out by 25 thou each, so that plus a smaller tapping hole should be, we should be alright in here I think. It's just extra stupid work because of screwing up. I won't bore you with all of this sort of repetition. The one thing I will have to do is to use a milling cutter to get my counterbore, because I haven't got a counterbore suitable for that. Not ideal anyway. Well, I've done a big cheat here. Very naughty. Oops. Anchor lube all over the place. Yeah, I whacked this cutter in the chuck. Not the best of things to do, but it got through alright. So we're now 1024. Sorry, 1024. That looks alright. So now we'll put this onto the thrust collar and get marked up for that. Well, here's the Bozo piece. So we got the 4 peripheral holes for 1020s for centering, and then these were for the 1020, but they came out bad on the thrust ring, so we done another set for 1024. So the back is just a mass of holes, because we got pinholes there for the roll pins. Now we've got twice the number of these that we need, plus the fact, which I'll show you in a minute, the way I chose to go to redo these holes has actually hit a couple of holes on the thrust collar. It's not going to matter too much because the centering piece is still available for checking centering on this, on the spindle, and it's going to be so close that I think it'll do the trick. There's what I mean. There's one of the 1024 tapped holes, which goes right through one of these holes. There's one each side for a peg wrench or similar. In fact, these holes were very brutalized. I've filed a bit of the rough off. Anyway, there's enough thread there to do the job. I'll zoom back and we'll put it in place. So we'll still keep this as a check measure. And there's very little movement there. Take that out. Get this in on the pins. And put these 1024s in. In fact, they're not actually quite as long as they should be. I may have to get some 1.5 inches. I'm getting my hand in the way all the time here. That's pretty solid on there. Let's see what I can do to run a check on it. When setting that up, I can use a short piece of inch just to make sure that the alignment with the spindle's okay. And I've just put in this piece of inch. That's the sort of 1/4 thou that I've got. Alright, and of course I can lock that up with the bolts. That's now moving at the chuck end. There's probably about 4 or 5 inches sticking out from the chuck. That's now solid. Alright, so inch is my max because of the spindle bore, and that's okay, because more often than not I should think I'll be concerned with trying to support a longer piece of maybe 1/2 inch. I'll put a piece in a minute, see how it works out. That's a piece of 1/2 inch, and it's roughly centered. I don't know whether you see the indicator. I've just done a quick attempt at that. Right, you should be able to see the needle sticking out of the chuck by about 6 inches, and I've only done a very quick setup on there. I think we're good to a couple of thou. I could get it tighter than that, and I've only finger tightened the bolts. And I think it's thin material that wants to be held most, otherwise it thrashes around. And I could fix up a roller further down if I had a long piece, which is very unlikely. So basically that's it, guys. Bozo and all. I'm quite pleased with the result. It was just incredibly fiddly, and it won't get used much, but it's just another thing to have tucked away when it might be needed. Alright. Well, there it is, guys. Quite long-winded for such a small item. There's a hindsight is 2020 aspect. The could have, should have, shall we say. With the material I had, I could have made that collar a larger diameter. I should have done, could have done. I went for virtually matching the bearing tensioning ring. If I had made it altogether about another 1/4 inch larger on ID, I could still have used my 1/4-20 bolts and got the holes in a better place in the bearing thrust collar. But things become clearer when you finish the job, don't they? Yeah. It was a long session, really, particularly in the lathe. I hope you managed. I did include most of what I was doing, but it did stretch out a bit because of all the bits I was making as ancillary items. Anyway, in the end it worked out fairly well. I may yet drill another pair of holes in the collar so that we can connect with the thrust ring in a better position. But where it is now, even though there are the shall we say peg spanner holes, there's enough thread to hold, and when it's on it's extremely secure. So I think it'll do the job. I say sorry it was a bit drawn out. There we are. We learn every time. And one of my failings is I don't really plan ahead enough sometimes. I do it step by step, and then later on I think, I should have done that. Anyway, there we are. That's it. And as I said in the first intro, I think I know what I'm doing in the next video, which will be showing you a very nice piece of gear that was made for me, and we'll cover that later. So for now, if you got this far, thanks for watching guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.